Hey everyone, this is acyuta-bhava from Nightlight Astrology, and today we're going to take a look at Mercury's upcoming square to Jupiter. Mercury is currently in the sign of Cancer and is making a square to Jupiter over the weekend, but it's starting to move into that 3-degree engagement range, so good time to take a look at it. So that's what we'll do today. Just 3 things to watch for. It's not the world's biggest transit, but it is sort of the transit of the weekend, so I feel like we should start getting ready for it. So that's what we'll do today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share your comments. Click the notification bell for updates. That way you can see when I go live or whatever the latest talk might be. Transcripts of my daily talks can be found on the website, nightlightastrology.com. And you can check out my readings and courses there as well. Any questions that you have while you're visiting the website, feel free to email info@nightlightastrology.com. Don't forget, if you have a story that you ever want to share about one of the transits that we're talking about in any given video, use the hashtag grabbed or grabbed@nightlightastrology.com if you prefer to email us your story for a future storytelling episode. I'll probably be doing one of those in the next week or two again. I've been collecting some good ones from the transits of the past couple of weeks. So yeah, we'll be excited to see what you guys have to share. All right, well, let's put up the real-time clock and take a look at this transit. This is happening on July 9th. Mercury in Cancer will be square to Jupiter in the sign of Aries. So let's take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, open my epic pen. All right, here we go. So you're going to see, here we are. Here's Jupiter in Aries. Here's Mercury in Cancer. And just draw a little connection between the two of them there. Now, Jupiter is in the superior position. So Jupiter in Aries is sort of impressing itself upon a Mercury in Cancer. If you think about Mercury in Cancer as a very emotional lunar sign for the planet Mercury, a planet that's often associated with thought, rationality, mind, intellect, philosophy. It's a very clever planet. And when it's in a water sign, I think the phrase emotional intelligence comes to mind. So it's, of course, very interesting to have that very sensitive, thoughtful Mercury in Cancer receiving this very powerful square. Squares of the nature of Mars from Jupiter in Aries, Mars's sign, a Jupiter in a fire sign. That's going to create a very particular combination. So this is what I tried to summarize the 3 most basic archetypal qualities that I think you could watch for, especially over the weekend, but anywhere between today, Thursday, and say Sunday or Monday. The first one is going to be any kind of news, communication, information, announcements, revelations, discussions that have to do with the family or family karma, ancestral or unconscious issues surrounding the family. Not just family, but anything that has close family bonds or ties, like a community or a group, or like, Cancer's kind of clannish. So if you think about the close emotional bonds or family-like places or dynamics in your life, news, information, anything that's really stirring the pot around family or home. That's the influence of Jupiter in Aries. And it could be good news, like you could get news of a birth or a marriage, or you could get some very unexpected or surprising news. It's a little bit of a dynamic tension in a square. So I would watch for this as one of the major themes of the weekend. Of course, the downside of this would be, where, which is number 2, and that would be anything that becomes more emotionally charged. For example, I mentioned the same dynamic under the new moon in Cancer with the square from Jupiter in Aries, which would be, element like the Hatfields versus McCoys, the idea of civil war, civil strife, where there is some ideological conflict, Jupiter being associated with the big overarching philosophical or our beliefs or our philosophies, and in the sign of Mars, square Mercury in Cancer, I could see there being tense conversations within families or groups regarding a conflict of values or ideology or something like that. In fact, that in many ways it was the theme of, you know, you look at another mass shooting on the 4th of July, and you get the feeling of, there's this really intense divisiveness in the psyche of the United States right now, and in general across the board. And my social media feed was, just the past week since the Cancerian new moon squared the Jupiter in Aries, very much, filled with debate right now about very divisive, intense, challenging issues. So could we see another peak of that same kind of energy where thoughts, communication, ideas, Mercury stuff is getting hit with the intensity, the fiery quality of Jupiter in Aries? I think so. So that's what I would be very careful of. Sometimes it's also just like zeal or charisma or excitement or enthusiasm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Jupiter in Aries square Mercury in Cancer can literally be like, screaming out your favorite song at the top of your lungs. It could be about cheering really loud for someone that you love at their track meet or something. I feel like there is an energy that could be very motivating, inspiring, charismatic, excited, enthusiastic. And it could be Jupiter in Aries could very well be the bringer of good news. I think, again, about the idea of hearing that you're like, for example, this new moon in Cancer with the square from Jupiter in Aries in my family brought the news that my sister got engaged. And that was exactly what I said around the new moon in Cancer, that you could see some big growth or promise or exciting development, the expansion of something related to home or family. So could you see a reprise of that, like an exciting piece of news or an announcement, again, with something around the family involved or a group or something like that? Could you see emotionally charged thoughts, ideas, and communication, in other words, being positive? Yes, absolutely. It doesn't have to be, when I say emotionally charged, it could almost sound like it's negative, but I think there's a positive side to it as well. Positive announcements, things that stir up your emotions and get you enthused about something. That's definitely a part of this as well. Finally, number 3 would be big or bright ideas. I say bright because Jupiter in Aries tends to be very bright and big. The idea, the inventiveness tends to be very mercurial. Mercury, for example, as Hermes Mercury, was associated with inventors. Jupiter in Aries tends to be very entrepreneurial and pioneering. So could we see a combination here where there's a new idea, where there is an announcement, where there is a new plan, a new thought, a new offering? If you're an entrepreneur, you own a business, this could very well be the announcement of a new product or a product launch or a course launch or something like that. This is something, by the way, under the banner of this, my wife and I are actually sitting down to start planning out the lunar tracking with plants program that we're thinking of next year. So we have the idea of holding new and full moon gatherings to discuss the astrology and to pair plant teachers that we diet each month as a way of, working with the energies year by year. And this is something that we'd actually been planning for like years, but got set back because of the pandemic. So we're actually meeting to be planning that over this time. And to me, that was like kind of why I came up with this one as a third, is that, Mercury rules the markets, and Mercury was, mercantile, related to, business. So, but it's so funny because Jupiter Mercury could be like grasping some big overarching philosophical concept in, maybe in astrology that you've been studying for a while, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked. And now it suddenly does. On the other hand, Mercury Jupiter can be about, a big business plan, or writing a big business plan, or even requesting a business loan or something like that. So I like the idea of recruiting help or receiving help from this. Jupiter in Aries square to Mercury can also be about Jupiter in Aries offering some kind of benefit, aid, help, or support to something that is Mercury in Cancer. Like, for example, let's say you're doing family planning. You're trying to figure out how your life is going to adjust to having a baby, and suddenly an uncle, gives you a couple of grand in their old crib or something. It's like, oh my God, wow. So Jupiter in Aries could very well just be lending its help, something big, something that contributes to what you're planning or what you're trying to accomplish, what you're scheming. Mercury's always thinking, what can I do? How should I do it? Mercury tends to be very good at analyzing things. Jupiter in Aries can lend some kind of super helpful gift. And remember, Jupiter in Aries, one of the benefits of Jupiter in Aries is how much Jupiter in Aries likes to protect, guard, defend, advocate. It's very heroic, and it likes to lend its support, especially if something is challenging and you suddenly find that something sort of heroic is contributing or making its presence felt, being like, hey, I'm here to help if you need it. That could also be a very Jupiter in Aries like contribution to Mercury in Cancer right now. So these are the kinds of dynamics that I would watch for, not just now, today, but over the whole weekend, maybe even into like Monday. Stretch it out to that, post 3-degree range, take it into about Monday. So anyway, a brief video for today. I am usually about the middle of July. I take a little bit of time off in order to kind of take some time to reshape my content and come up with new ideas and stuff like that. So there'll be content. Some of it will be some rewind episodes and other things that I'll be putting out. But yeah, it's a little, my content this week and next week will probably be a little bit shorter. I might even take a day or two off here or there as I'm taking time to kind of try to come up with really great new content for you guys for the second half of the year. So, but anyway, there will be more. So stay tuned for more content on Friday. That's what I've got for today. Hope this helps you guys keep your eye on the transit over the weekend, and we will see you again soon.